You think you're just being kind. You think you're giving someone the benefit of the doubt. But what if I told you that's exactly why they picked you? Not because you are weak, not because you are stupid, but because you are thoughtful, caring, empathetic, and unfortunately, manipulators are drawn to those traits like sharks to blood. See, when most people imagine manipulation, they think of yelling or threats or someone trying to take obvious control. But that's not how it usually works. The most dangerous manipulations are quiet, smooth, strategic, and they don't just target your mind, they target your heart. They know how to make you question your reactions. They know how to make you feel like the villain for having needs. And before you realize what's happening, you've adjusted your behavior to avoid upsetting them. You've changed your tone. You've softened your truth. You've made yourself smaller to keep the peace. But here's the thing, real peace never requires you to betray yourself. In this video, we're going to unpack 3 psychological tricks that manipulators use to get control without you even noticing. And we're not talking about extremes here. These are subtle patterns that show up in relationships, in families, even in workplaces. And if you don't know how to spot them, you'll keep telling yourself the problem is you. You'll keep working harder to be better, when in reality, someone else is pulling the strings. We'll talk about how shame gets weaponized, how they use your own empathy against you, how they make you feel like you owe them something just for being nice to you. If you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling guilty but confused, if you've ever caught yourself apologizing just to stop the silence, this video is for you. Because once you see the tricks, they lose their power, and you can start choosing yourself again, not out of revenge, not out of anger, but out of quiet, clear, unapologetic self-worth. You don't need to fight anyone, you just need to stop playing by their rules. Trick number 1 is something most people never see coming. It is called the shame loop, and it works like this. You speak up about something that bothered you. Maybe someone ignored your message. Maybe they crossed a boundary. Maybe they said something that left a mark. But instead of hearing you, they shift the spotlight. They say you are overreacting. They act hurt by your hurt. They twist the moment into something where you suddenly feel like the bad guy. And now, instead of standing up for yourself, you are wondering if you were too harsh, too sensitive, too difficult. That is the shame loop. It is when someone uses your natural self-reflection against you. The more you care about being a good person, the more likely you are to fall for it. And here is where it gets really dangerous. The loop becomes internal. After a few cycles, they do not even have to say anything. You do it for them. You start double-checking every emotion you feel. You second-guess whether your boundary is reasonable. You question your memory, your tone, your needs. You silence yourself before they ever have to, and that is exactly how the loop feeds itself. You feel something. You express it. You get punished with guilt or silence or shame. So next time, you just swallow it. You tell yourself it is not worth the drama, and slowly your voice disappears. Your instincts get quieter, and their control gets stronger. What makes this trap so tricky is that it never looks like manipulation. It looks like reflection, like fairness, like you are trying to be the bigger person. But the truth is, real love and real respect never make you feel small for speaking honestly. If someone is constantly flipping the script and making you feel ashamed for having feelings, you are not growing. You are being groomed. And shame is the perfect leash, because it does not look like force. It looks like responsibility. It makes you feel like everything that goes wrong is your fault. And if they were really that hurt by your honesty, they would talk about it calmly. But they don't. They weaponize silence. They withdraw affection. They act like victims, and you end up begging to make things right, even though you were the one who was hurt in the first place. That is the trick. It is emotional theft dressed as maturity. The way out is not to be louder or more aggressive. It is to recognize the pattern, to pause and ask yourself, wait a minute, why do I feel like I have to apologize for something that hurt me? Who benefits when I keep blaming myself? The moment you stop apologizing for feeling things, the loop starts to break. And that is where real healing begins. Trick number 2 is called the illusion of reciprocity. It is one of the most powerful manipulations because it feels like kindness. It feels like connection. It feels like someone giving you something real. Maybe they comforted you on a hard day. Maybe they did you a favor without being asked. Maybe they showed you a moment of warmth when you really needed it. And for a while you think, wow, this person really cares. They see me. They get me. And so naturally you want to give back. You want to show up for them the way they showed up for you. You want to be fair. You want to be loyal. But slowly things start to shift. You find yourself doing more and more for them. You excuse their moods. You take on their problems. You start walking on eggshells to avoid upsetting them. And they do less and less in return. But by now you are emotionally invested. You do not want to seem ungrateful. You tell yourself, they were there for me once. I owe them that. But do you? Because what if that one act of kindness was not about love at all? What if it was bait? A down payment to make you feel like you could not walk away? This is how the illusion works. They give just enough to spark your loyalty, just enough to build an emotional debt you never agreed to, and then they cash in on it over and over while giving you less and less in return. You start feeling like if you stop giving, you are the bad one. Like you are selfish, like you are betraying someone who once helped you. But real connection does not work like that. Real support is not a loan you repay forever. It is not leverage. It is not used to make you feel guilty. And here is the worst part. Sometimes, when you finally set a boundary or step back, they remind you of what they did for you. Not as a memory, but as a weapon. They say things like, I was there when no one else was. I gave you everything. And it hurts because you remember, and you feel the weight of what they did. But here is what you need to know. Healthy people do not keep score like that. They do not hang their past kindness over your head like a trap. If someone's love only exists as long as you are compliant, it is not love. It is a transaction, and it was never about you. The way out of this trap is clarity. Ask yourself, if they had not done that one thing for me, would I tolerate how they treat me now? If the answer is no, then what you are feeling is not gratitude. It is obligation. And obligation without balance becomes manipulation. You do not owe people your peace just because they once smiled at your pain. Trick number 3 is the one that hurts the most. It is called the empathy hack. And it works because it uses your best trait against you. Your kindness, your understanding, your willingness to see the good in people even when they hurt you. Manipulators know how to find people like you, people who feel deeply, people who ask, what did they go through that made them act this way? People who say, maybe I should just be more patient. Maybe they do not mean it. Maybe I am expecting too much. That is what they want. They want you to stay focused on their pain so you ignore your own. They want you to keep trying to heal them so you never stop to ask why you are bleeding too. The empathy hack turns your compassion into a distraction. Every time you bring up a problem, they talk about theirs. Every time you express a boundary, they tell you how hard their life has been. Every time you feel hurt, they somehow become the victim, and you fall for it. Not because you are foolish, but because you care. Because you believe that healing is possible. Because you want to love people through their pain. And that is beautiful, but it is also dangerous when it becomes one-sided. When someone uses their story to silence yours. When their wounds always matter more than your well-being. This trick is subtle because it feels like empathy. It feels like grace. But what it really is emotional hijacking. And over time, it turns you into a caretaker for someone who never planned to care for you back. You become the one who holds space, who forgives, who explains, who understands. And they become the one who never has to change. The empathy hack only works when you believe that compassion means tolerating harm. But it does not. You can be kind and still walk away. You can be understanding and still say, this is not healthy for me. You can care about their story and still protect your own. The truth is, people who want to heal do not use their pain as a shield. They take responsibility. They want to grow. But people who want control use empathy as a trap. And they know that someone like you will stay longer than you should, because you do not want to give up on someone, because you are afraid to be the one who walks away. But listen closely. Walking away is not giving up. It is growing up. It is choosing to stop setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. And if someone only lets you exist in the relationship as long as you are saving them, that is not love. That is performance. And you are allowed to leave the stage. Now you see it. Not because you changed, but because you stopped ignoring the signs. These 3 tricks are not magic. They are patterns. They are strategies. And once you name them, they lose their hold. The shame loop, the illusion of reciprocity, the empathy hack. Each one is designed to make you small without making them look cruel. Each one depends on you blaming yourself, on you staying quiet, on you caring more about keeping the peace than keeping your self-respect. And maybe for a long time you did. Maybe you thought love meant holding on no matter what. Maybe you thought loyalty meant staying silent. But now you know better. Now you can choose differently. You do not have to become cold to protect yourself. You just have to become clear. You do not have to fight people. You just have to stop arguing with your own instincts. You are not too sensitive. You are not dramatic. You are not selfish for wanting peace that does not cost your dignity. Let that sink in. You are allowed to walk away from people who confuse you every time you speak up. You are allowed to stop apologizing for your emotions. You are allowed to rebuild your boundaries. Slowly, firmly, quietly. No one needs to understand your healing process for it to be valid. And the people who really love you, they will not need to be tricked into treating you with respect. They just will. So if any part of this video made you feel seen, take a moment. Not to hate yourself for missing it. Not to get angry at the past. But to breathe. You saw it now. That is enough. That is strength. And if you are still learning how to walk away, that is okay too. Healing is not loud. Sometimes it is just a whisper that says, I deserve better. If this video helped you name something you could never quite explain, leave a comment. You never know who else might need those words. And if you want to keep learning how to protect your peace and honor your voice, you already know what to do. Click subscribe, and come back when you are ready. We are building clarity here, one truth at a time.